Comedy is a work in which the materials are selected and managed primarily in order to create interest and amuse audience. The primary purpose of comedy is to create interest among audience and to amuse, to surprise them, to create some kind of interest and to amuse the audience. That is the essence, or that is the main purpose of writing comedy or showing comedy or portraying comedy. And comedy attracts more. But if you understand the comedy and tragedy, like we discussed what is Shakespearean comedy, what is Shakespearean tragedy, though we may don't like tragedy watching, but internally, maybe unknowingly, tragedy we give most importance in our life. We may not agree that we like tragedy, but most of us will like tragedy to be watched. The reason is we'll watch those characters suffering and we feel that okay, we are not having those many problems or such kind of a problem. So whenever you watch somebody who is having some kind of very serious problem, we feel a kind of happy. Of course it is very difficult to accept and to agree, but still it is a human psyche, or it is a human nature. We look at the others' problems and we feel okay, our life is better than them, little better than them. So tragedy is actually the most important emotion people like to watch, but we don't accept, we don't agree it. But comedy everybody enjoys comedy. So the writers, they knew this technique, so they want to create interest, and then it is the main purpose is to amuse audience. And whenever we watch comedy in terms of play, I'm talking Shakespearean comedy. In terms of play, when we watch confident, from the beginning itself we feel confident to watch, because we know that there is nothing wrong going to happen to the characters in the play, and there is no greater harm, will be no disaster to the character. So from the beginning onwards we will be clear that we will enjoy watching even the characters suffer on stage, but still it produces some kind of humor. So we will get disconnected with the problems of the action of the characters, but will enjoy their actions, though they are suffering on the screen, on the stage, but still we will derive humor from their actions. And these comedies always end happily. There will be no sad endings in these comedies, so always happy endings. And this comedy is actually applied to only drama, like Shakespearean comedy we have to apply to only drama, but in later stages they have used this comedy for prose writings also. So the simple definition comedy is playwriters use this comedy genre because to create interest and to amuse audience. See, in the Elizabethan period, let us go back again the Elizabethan period. Can anybody tell me what is the Elizabethan period? Quick.
Yes, sir.
What is the Elizabethan?
1558 to 1603.
1558 to 1603. Right. So who was the ruler during that Elizabethan age?
Elizabethan I.
Elizabeth I. She promoted art, literature, trade. Everything was very great in her reign or in her rule, and England became very prosperous. People have a lot of wealth, so they were looking for entertainment. In the beginning, they started looking for high level comedy, tragedies, all those things. But as the days pass on, they have more recreation time. Instead of, see, earlier tragedies, dramas, people like to watch. Elizabethan people in that period, people like to watch those plays for information. That means whatever the playwrights they write, they show the information about that age, what was happening during that age, what were happening in the Commonwealth countries, what were happening in the lives of so many people. So people, Elizabethan common people, they used to watch the plays first for the information. But slowly when the days progressed or when the generations changed, what happened? They don't want only information, they want some kind of entertainment, because there was no other source of entertainment. So play or drama was the only source of entertainment for them. So people started slowly shifted their focus from information to entertainment. So then what happened? Even the playwriters also started focusing on entertainment, giving importance to the plays with comedy and comedy narration and characters which create a kind of interest and amusement in the mind of audience. Shakespeare had written exactly to please his audience. He had not written anything other than his audience demands. So he knew the pulse of audience and he created the drama and comedy to please the audience, and in return he become very wealthy because he has touched or he has reached the audience interest. So coming back to this one, see, I am mixing 2-3 topics. One is periods of English literature and the comedy or the literary terms and the literary works. If you take Shakespeare and comedy, can you give me quickly example of Shakespeare and comedy?
As you like it.
As you like it.
As you like it. Any other? Any other?
The Tempest.
Tempest is a comedy and the last play of Shakespeare.
Yes.
Yes, Tempest is the last play of the Shakespeare and it's a comedy. Now, people, as I told you, during the Elizabethan era, they wanted to know information and as well as entertainment. If you understand Shakespeare's Tempest was the last play and he had, it was a comedy and it was last play, but before Tempest, he had seen downfall in his career also. He was not producing great literature after great tragedies. So what happened during that days, one ship was disappeared when there were so many ships traveling for trade. So one ship was suddenly disappeared. Nobody knew nothing about the ships. So they thought that all those people in that ship or the travelers in the ship were lost. That means they were killed or they were dead. But after 11 months, suddenly the ship returned and they narrated the stories about the Bermuda Triangle shipwreck and how could they survive for 10 months on a isolated land or island. And they used to narrate the stories about their experiences when they stayed in that land, and they used to hear a lot of noises, sounds which made them to feel, which made scary. So when these stories came to the limelight, people wanted to know about the new world. Understand this word? They wanted to know about the new world. So Shakespeare understood this tendency and he had written the Tempest to please the audience, not only to give information, even to disclose what kind of new world is available beyond their understanding. So Elizabethans started understanding not only tragedy, but they want a kind of comedy also. And this comedy also in the beginning was very good, standards were maintained, high comedy was shown, but slowly what happened, these comedy degraded into the low level comedy or low comedy, and even the Parliament, House of Lords and House of Commons, they again closed the theatres in England because they were spreading false information, unnecessary information or some kind of vulgarity in the drama. So again, Parliament of England, both the houses, House of Lords and House of Commons, again they closed the theatres one more time. Can anybody tell me in which year the first time the theatres were closed in London or in England?
1642.
1642. Closed by whom?
Charles the First.
Charles one. Charles one.
Who closed the theatres?
Cromwell, Oliver.
Oliver Cromwell. Who is Oliver Cromwell? Is a Catholic or a Protestant?
Protestant.
He is a Puritan.
Puritan.
Who is a Puritan? Who is a Puritan?
Cromwell.
I know Cromwell, but who is a Puritan means what? Protestant means okay, Catholics means okay, but who is a
Those
Puritan?
who supported Parliament rule.
They are like the modern Talibans. They thought that the Roman Church was completely corrupt and they have not evolved to the societal standards, so they want to reform the entire church by keeping or by making the rules and regulations strict. So they have not allowed women players, they have not allowed people to watch this kind of dramas, they have closed the entire theatres in 1642. Again it happened in England after these dramas degraded into vulgarity. So the drama also during Shakespearean age, it was to the highest, but after Shakespeare people started using the same technique to please the groundlings or to please the poor people or common people, and the taste of the people of during Elizabethan era, Jacobean period, Caroline period, after the Puritan intergram, Restoration period, it has degraded into complete vulgarity. So now from here after the classes will become very elaborative and it will be too technical. If you don't understand the previous classes, those terminology, that information, if you can't remember, now hereafter even for each and every line I have to explain lot of time. So what is play, what is tragedy, what is comedy, all those things now are interrelated. Okay, so up to here is everything clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let us understand different types of comedy. In examination point of view, you should know different types of comedy. The first thing is, according to Aristotle, there are 6 elements for tragedy. Do you all remember? Can you remember what I am speaking? Everything is
Plot, character,
Plot,
temper,
there are 6 elements.
Spectacle, I think.
So you have to revise a lot. Okay, right.
plot, character, thought, diction, song, and spectacle song.
Right, good. But what I want is, you should not answer read from your textbook, you should answer from your memory. That is actually what is required for examination point of view. You may have written notes, lot of notes must be there, but it should come from your mind, not from your notebooks. You will learn this when I interconnect all this information into a single part, then you will come to know it is easy to understand. So that's why I'm trying to intermix all the periods, literary terms, works of art, writers, all those things. So first let us understand, tragedy is separate, comedy is separate, but they have intermixed and they make it as a tragic comedy. In that also there are so many types of comedy are there. First let us discuss the romantic comedy. What does it romantic comedy? See, for a layman, romance means all those Bollywood masala, all those things. But for English literature students, romantic means like a new, something new from the deviating from the old way of reading or old way of understanding and all those things. So the first type of comedy which we are going to discuss in this class is romantic comedy. It is developed by Shakespeare and Elizabethan dramatists. So the romantic comedy started from Shakespeare only, or during Elizabethan period. Some other dramatists followed this Elizabethan tragedy comedy or Shakespeare comedy, or we can call it as simply romantic comedy. And this romantic comedy is chiefly concerned with love affairs. If you read the play as you like it, it is about the love affair between hero and heroine. Heroine loves the hero and she wanted to marry the hero, and she went in disguise as a man, and then she successfully married. Then the play ends with the marriage of the hero and heroine. So it is also romantic comedy, talks about concerned about the love affairs or boy meet girl's plot. So later on, whichever movie nowadays you see, the boy fall in love with girl, boy fights for girl, boy fights for, all these things comes under this kind of same thing. It is called boy meets girl's plot, and it comes under romantic comedy. So there is romance and there is comedy. This is a mixture of romantic comedy. And then what happens in the romantic comedy, in the beginning there will be problems in love, or there will be some kind of disputes between these two people, lovers, or there may be like villains. But what happened at the end, overcome at the end and lovers united. So all these romantic comedies have the same kind of features. They will have so many problems in the love, and at the end they will overcome those problems, and finally happily they united. And then you have to remember this part in examination point of view. Northrop Frye, in his book Anatomy of Criticism, the normal world of conflict to the green worlds. Now listen, try to understand, though it is only for KVS examination, but let me explain these things also. It may be useful for you in some parts of your life, it may be useful. That's why I would like to explain these things. See, in this world, in real world, there are so many problems, there are so many differences, there are so many conflicts, there are so many hurdles, there are so many things. So to escape from those kind of problems, either you have to change the reality or you have to create your own imagination. Which one is easy? Which one is easy? To change the reality or to create your own imaginary world?
To change the reality, of course.
Is it easy?
No,
sir.
sir.
Easy, but
Easier.
To create our own imaginary world, I think.
See, all these poets or writers, they were disgusted with the worldly reality, and they wanted to have a beautiful world, and that beautiful world was created by their imagination from their mind, and they want to make others also to enter into their beautiful world. At least for temporarily, the people can forget all the worldly miseries, all the worldly problems, and even that is a drama or a play or a movie, for 2 to 3 hours we'll forget all our unnecessary problems, all our troubles, all our miseries. For the 2.5 hours we'll enjoy the movie. So the 2 to 3 hours inside the theater, when you watch a movie, you will are a completely different person. So in the same way, here also the Northrop Frye, in the Anatomy of Criticism, the normal world is filled with conflicts. Then what happened? These writers like Shakespeare, they have created some imaginary places. The places have the power to change people. Even if you go with so many problems into that place, those problems will be completely solved or dissolved or resolved, and you will become a new person in that place. Though it is an imaginary, everybody wants such kind of a place, such kind of a person who can magically take away your all problems, remove your all sorrows. But it is not possible in real life. But in plays, this kind of technique is used by so many playwrights to attract people or to watch the plays. So in Northrop Frye, the Anatomy of Criticism, in his book, the normal world of conflict to the green world. So Shakespeare took audience into this green world, and in this world, the problems will be magically solved and dissolved. Enemies will be reconciled. True lovers united. Ends with a wedding or a feast or a dance. That means in real world, though we can't escape from the sufferings, but in Shakespeare's comedies or in romantic comedies, these writers have created some kind of a world or some kind of imaginary places in exactly in contradict with the normal world, and that world we call it as the green world, and where the problems will be solved, enemies will be reconciled, true lovers united, and it has happy ending. And this place ends with the wedding or a feast or a dance. And this kind of comic plots reflects primitive myths and rituals celebrating the victory of spring over winter. So whenever the play ends, or whenever this kind of a comedy ends in this fashion, actually it is showing that the primitive myths and rituals, people have this kind of idea in the primitive culture that whatever problem comes, whatever things happens in our life, however disastrous our life may be, but we should celebrate. It is not very difficult to understand this concept. Everybody have understood, everybody have experienced. See, it would be easy for me to talk to one person. Danny, are you there?
Yes, sir.
See, when a baby is born in our families, do we celebrate? Danny?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
so in pompous, that means we celebrate in a very, like a festival we celebrate. We invite the baby into our families. So it's a grand ceremony, it's a grand festival. In that festival, what generally we do? We sing songs, we dance, we eat, we drink, we spend our time happily. Am I right, Danny?
Yes, sir.
Then what about in case of death? How many days do we mourn?
If the death is of our nearest or dearest person, then that mourning lasts forever, sir.
Forever. But if you
Yeah.
understand, if you see the rituals of the India, if you choose the traditions of India, on 11th day or on a particular day, we have to throw a feast, we have to throw a party.
Yes.
And in that party, depending upon the culture, depending upon the caste, depending upon the tradition, they supply food, non-veg, drinks, they eat, they sing, they dance. What is the difference between the first party and this party, Danny? Both are same, correct?
Both are same, sir.
Ah.
First celebrates birth and second one celebrates death.
Right. That means in this primitive culture, in the primitive myth rituals, celebrating victory of spring over winter, that means Northern Fright, or in a general sense also we can understand, even in death also, in sorrow also, we celebrate. We have to celebrate even our problems also, and we have to celebrate even our success also. So this kind of psychological things you have to understand. Of course, you are all postgraduates, you are teachers, you have done your masters, some of you are married, some of you are having children, but I believe that most of us have lost touch with these kind of ideas, because in materialistic world, going to school, working, earning, thinking about children, thinking about husband, thinking about wife, again tomorrow, all those things will make us not to expand our thoughts. Literature must give us chance to expand our thoughts. I suppose Wordsworth or somebody said, no, they can wings of poesy. Who said that one? Wordsworth, correct? Who said?
Sydney, sir.
Sydney? Find out. Some poet said that he can live his life with his poetic charm. That means with his poetic capability, he can enjoy his life. So let us also understand, though it may not be useful in examination point of view, but still, if you can understand what I said, both happiness and sorrow is meant for enjoyment. If you have only happiness, then you will lose the importance of, you don't understand the value of sorrow. If you have only sorrow, you will understand the value of happiness. That's what I mean to say. But here you remember Northern Fry, the Anatomy of Criticism, and he introduces this kind of worldly conflict into the new green world. And now come to here, normal world is filled with conflicts, problems and troubles. So Shakespeare has created this kind of the green world in As You Like It and A Midsummer's Night Dream. In As You Like It, what is that green world? Forest of Arden. I told you this Forest of Arden is a place of his mother. Could you remember? Forest of Arden is a place where the magical things happens, the evil characters turns into good characters. So in As You Like It, this the green world which is used by Shakespeare in As You Like It is the Forest of Arden, where the evil characters will transform into good characters. And in A Midsummer's Night Dream also, the fairy hunted wood is used. So this is the place where the evil characters enters, they will transform into good characters, all problems will be solved, all miseries will be solved, and people enjoy life in this place. Forest of Arden is used in As You Like It, and the fairy hunted wood is used in A Midsummer Night Dream. So this is about romantic comedy, and it is about concerned about the love affairs, their problems, their troubles. But even though when you watch this kind of comedy, we can't feel any kind of a pain, even though the hero suffers, because we know that this play is going to end with a happy ending, and there is no much great bad things will happen to the characters in the play. So this is about the romantic comedy, and it is developed by Shakespeare. Now if you understand what is Shakespearean comedy means Shakespeare has used even noble characters also. Otherwise, if we quote the Aristotelian standards of comedy and tragedy, in tragedy only the noble character should use, because the fall of the noble characters create tragedy. But here in classical comedy, the characters in the classical comedy are generally meant for the poor people. The poor people, when they suffer, it generates comedy, it creates humor. But Shakespeare has used even noble characters also in his comedy, and in his comedies, heroines got importance, in tragedies heroes got importance. So Shakespeare in tragedies means heroes, Shakespeare in comedies means heroines. And in Shakespeare in tragedies, there is no much music or all those things, maybe soliloquies are there, but in Shakespeare in comedy, he has introduced a lot of interesting songs and dances. Diksha, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So in a play, if there is a song, dance, music, then what kind of play it is called, or what kind of drama it is called?
Tragedy, sir. No, in tragedy, dance is not, there's a comedy.
What kind of, okay, we'll come back to later on. Okay, so then there will be interesting songs and dances introduced by Shakespeare in the comedy. He deviated from the classic form of comedy.
Sorry, sir, for the interruption. Mask, sir.
We'll come to that. I want to just create some kind of curiosity so that you will all continue listening to the lecture. It is also part of this class. We will explain what kind of drama, when there is a song, music, dance and all these things are involved. Okay, so shall I continue, Diksha?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in Shakespearean comedy, interesting songs and dances are there, and element of disguise is also one of the characteristic features of Shakespearean comedy. And Shakespearean comedies are didactic in nature. Didactic in nature means the Shakespearean comedies teach us something, and Shakespearean tragedies shows the fall of the noble characters, very serious in nature, whereas Shakespearean comedies exaggerate the follies or errors of a common people, and it creates humor. So Shakespeare has deviated from the standards of classical tragedy and classical comedy. Then anybody, can you tell me who is the one who followed classical tradition of writing drama? He is a contemporary person of Shakespeare.
Ben Jonson.
Ben Jonson.
Correct, Ben Jonson, correct. So after Shakespeare, when Shakespeare retired to his Stanford F1 after completion of all these tragedies, drama, all those things, then Ben Jonson became the literary dictator for 25 years, and his prime focus and his prime purpose was to restore the classical form of drama. He followed the unity of action, unity of time, unity of space, and he wanted to bring the classical form of drama into the mainstream. But the people in those days, during Ben Jonson days, what happened? They wanted this kind of a cheap comedy or low level comedy, but Ben Jonson stick to the Aristotelian standards of comedy, Aristotle's standards of tragedy, or classical tragedy. So in the classical tragedy, there is no question of comedy, and there is always serious in action, no comic relief. So Ben Jonson was exactly opposite to Shakespeare. Though Ben Jonson is the contemporary of Shakespeare, but he is exactly opposite to Shakespeare. Shakespeare deviated from the Aristotelian standards of comedy, tragedy, or the classical form of writing drama, but Ben Jonson stick to the in between. There are so many small minor writers are there who try to match with Shakespeare, but they couldn't. Now this is about the Shakespearean comedy, or especially the romantic comedy created by the Shakespeare. If you have any questions up to this part, you can ask me. Any questions?
Yes, sir, I have.
Yes, Kabir.
Yes, and that is, as you have explained the normal world conflict and the green world, as exemplified in As You Like It, and the point is Forest of Arden. Does it represent the conflict of the of our real world or the green world?
Forest of Arden is a place where whoever enters into that place or whoever comes to the place, their problems will be solved. Even when evil characters comes, villains come to that place also, they will transform themselves into good characters. So that is the purpose of creating that kind of a place in Shakespearean comedy. See, I'll tell you what I could understand is, in real world, if a bad person is there, he will remain or she will remain bad throughout their life. There is no question of transformation. There is no question of changing in the real world. People don't change. You can't change people. If you want to change people, you will earn a lot of enemies in your life. Other than that, you can't earn anything in your life. So in real world, changing people is not possible. But in drama, the writer has to show the change in character. So how can he show the change in character? For example, till climax, the person is a villain, he is dangerous character, then suddenly how come he show that the character has changed into a good person? There is no other way to show. So these people have introduced these kind of places where they have created these kind of places where at least they can convince audience. They can convince audience that when they enter these places, those people have transformed into good people. Otherwise, comedy will become tragedy. Kabir.
Yes, sir.
If you read Hamlet, Macbeth, Julius Caesar, all the villainous characters remain villains throughout the play. Whoever has done wrong things, even Shakespeare, even Hamlet also, he remains same. He doesn't transform into a insanity into again a normal person. So all those characters move in the same way. There will be no transformation in their characters. But in comedy, the writers have to transform the characters and they have to bring the play into a happy ending. So when there is no natural way of transforming the characters from bad to good, or to make the characters to realize from bad to good, they need to find some kind of a magical place, at least some kind of instrument which they can use to change the characters from bad to good and to convince the audience and to end the play in a happy ending.
Yes, so if I understand, then it is the scene of Forest of Arden, the fairy haunted wood. These are actually situations, moments, or events, or even we can say mechanism through which the playwright actually wants our problematic world into a new world where there is no problem.
Yes,
That
correct.
is green world might be that is the green world referred by not for fire. Is it okay?
Yes, correct. Because when you go to watch a movie, I may be little elaborating classes hereafter. Some of you might have understood, some of you may be in a confusion, that's why. If you go and watch a movie, what is the purpose of watching a movie? Can anybody tell me? When you go to watch,
Entertainment.
only do you go only for entertainment? Preeti?
Refreshing of mind for that
Right.
passing of time.
Correct. So if people want only entertainment, then should be only one genre of movies should be released by the entire world: Hollywood, Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood. But you will find some kind of sentimental scenes where hero lost his mother, or villain killed hero's lover, and there will be sad songs. We will also watch those sad songs. Where is the entertainment in those kind of scenes, Preeti?
Sir, we sometimes also relate with the things with our lives also. Maybe
No, that is fine.
that
That
might be
is
very
fine.
emotional.
That is fine, correct. But where is the entertainment when villain kills a hero's mother, or when villain kills a hero's father, or when villain kidnaps a heroine? Where is the point of entertainment? Where is the question of entertainment is there? Preeti.
It's not just not entertainment, sir,
Right.
but
Tell me, correct. So we don't watch movies, we don't spend time in theater not on just for entertainment. We want to get satisfied with so many emotions which are in our mind, which are in our life. We like comedy, we like tragedy, we like people to watch suffering, we like people to do so many mistakes, so that we will feel like audience. We are audience. We'll watch their actions, we'll watch their mistakes, we watch their errors, and we get a kind of a purgation, what is called a kind of a relaxation and relief. Otherwise, if there is only people watch movies for entertainment, then there will be just only 1% of movies which will be released, or the entire movies, the entire Bollywood, Hollywood, they have to create only movies for entertainment. But there are different types of entertainment, Preeti. Some people watch horror movies and they get entertainment. Do you like horror movies, Preeti?
yes, sir.
What kind of entertainment do you get, Diksha, when you watch Annabella, all those things?
I feel scared, sir. Even I watch novel-based science fiction movies also, sir.
No,
Where I could feel thrill, sir.
Okay, so being scared also gives a kind of entertainment.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
What about Sharmila, Deepti ma'am? Do you also watch these kind of movies?
No, sir.
No?
Only comedy.
Only comedy gives comedy. No horror gives comedy.
I got fear, sir, to watch that movie,
Okay.
especially Annabella.
Annabella. Okay, what about Neelam?
Sir, I like to watch only comedy movies,
Only comedy.
especially of songs.
Okay. So most of us, we watch comedy, we get comedy. But people like Diksha, people like me, including me also, we like to watch horror movies to get comedy. I'll tell you the technique to make horror movie into the best comedy movie. Just mute the movie and watch. You will laugh like anything. When the ghost comes, it is just because background music creates that kind of tension in our mind. Otherwise, if you just mute the movie and if you watch, it is the biggest comedy movie. What I mean to say is simple. We don't watch a movie only for entertainment. We have so many different emotions in our mind or in our life. All those emotions must be satisfied when watching a movie, and the directors whoever the successful directors, they know the techniques. So that's why they mix all those rasas. I don't know what is exact word in Hindi. Navarasas it is called. That means people like to be scared, people like to be ridiculed, people like to be like to watch comedy, they like to watch tragedy, they like to have what you call sentiments. Most of the women, they watch sentiment serials, no? Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. What are those serials, Preeti?
Yes, sir. So those staffless based serials are there.
So people get entertainment, no? In all those serials, what they were portrayed as, whether in North India, South India, whichever India, all male characters are villains, and those male characters are some kind of deformity. ये हाथ काम नहीं करेगा, ये leg काम नहीं करेगा, and all those are bad characters, villain characters. And women who portray negative characters comes always with black lipstick and black sari and black bindi. People watch or not? Preeti, Diksha, Sharmila.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of entertainment it is? They will watch those things and they will think that in their family also, in their society also, people are like that. What I mean to say that people like to watch in so many ways, and people derive entertainment in so many ways, which is the next topic for our comedy. Otherwise there will be only one type of comedy, and that should be only romantic comedy, but we have different types of comedies. Second type of comedy, shall we continue?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Second type of comedy is satiric comedy. What is this satiric comedy? In general, satires, okay, attacks the disorders of society by making ridiculous the violators of its standards of morals and manners. To make you understand, simple word I will use, simple sentence I use. I suppose most of you, all of you are working, so I can tell you this one very easily. Where is she? Preeti.
Yes, sir.
What is your school timings?
8:30 to 2:30.
What is the time to report?
8:30, sir.
At what time do you report?
8:25.
Every day?
Sometimes I got late, sir.
Okay. How many times you got late in a week?
In monthly, if I talk, then twice or thrice.
Okay. Right.
No, not more than 3 times.
Okay. So what?
Because if I got late more than 3 times, that one of the CL of mine is minus.
Okay. So even in private sector also that is there.
Yes, sir.
Right. Fine. Now there will be some people who come after 8:30 regularly in your school. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Some teachers are there.
And they will manage also, no, without cutting their CL.
Yes.
And they will laugh at you people, sometimes, not every time. They will laugh at people who are very punctual, and they will ridicule them. They will make fun of them that they are coming before 8:20, but these people, they come late and they go early. There will be some teachers in each and every school. 8:25 reporting time means 8:24.59 they will sign, and when what is the time for out, if it is 2:30, 2:25 only they will be ready to sign for 2:30 and they will go. These kind of people are in your school, Preeti?
Some teachers are there, sir.
There will be some people. There will be some people. Now, what is this satiric comedy? You will sometimes pass satires on them. No, you also do work. I also do work. You do less work. I do more work. You get more salary. I get less salary. Don't you speak like that? Or don't you think like that sometimes?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Definitely. So that is actually you are passing a satire directly, indirectly. If they are senior teachers, you can't say, but if they are junior, you will definitely say these things. So satiric comedy is also attack and disorders of society by making ridiculous the violators of its standards of morals and manners. So people, they have so many morals. It's not my topic to explain, but if you allow me, just I'll take 2 minutes, because these kind of topics are actually interconnected, interrelated with worldly knowledge also. So let me just share with you. Who is here very serious and sincere? All are sincere, serious only. Deepti ma'am, can you hear me? Deepti ma'am? Deepti, can you tell me whether morals are static or dynamic in nature? Deepti? What happened? Deepti ma'am, are you scared of question? No, I am asking a simple question. Whether these morals, values Are these static in nature or dynamic in nature?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it audible?
Yes, audible.
Morals.
Very serious topic from comedy.
Static, I think. Static.
Okay. Okay. Maybe some issue. I'll explain. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time. Some people believe the moral values are static in nature. Static in nature means from generations to generations, even for the future generations also, the moral value will remain same and exact. But some people believe that moral values are dynamic in nature. Dynamic in nature means they are changing. For example, the value which your forefathers, which your great grandfathers, fathers followed, you are not following the same moral value. You are not going to give it to the next generation. So actually 99.99% the values are dynamic in nature. Generation to generation they change these values according to their convenience. Now manners also. Let me explain, ma'am. Dipti ma'am, turn off your mic, mute your. So even manners also from generations to generations we have been changed. We are changing our manners, the way we speak, the way we talk, the way we respect to elders. So even when this kind of attack the disorders of society by making ridiculous the violators of its standards of morals and manners. That means when you criticize people or when you pass satire on people who are not following these kind of morals and manners. There are so many morals are there, so many different ways of manners are there. But in this examination point of view, I don't want to take you, but only one thing I want to tell you that values are dynamic in nature. Morals are dynamic in nature. Whichever you followed the moral, you think the best moral may not be the best moral for your next generation. Okay. Earlier days we were told that satisfaction is most important, contentment is most important. Nowadays money is most important. Do you all agree or not?
Yes.
Little louder so that I'll feel confident whether I'm right or wrong. Which one is more important? Money
Yes,
is
sir,
important
you're
or
right.
not?
Money.
Right. In those days money was not as important as now, because those days the standards of living, the people in those days, the way they understood the life was different from the way we are living our life. Maybe for the next generation the money may not become that much valuable, because if skills are more important in the next generation, money will become secondary. So depends upon generation the values change. Earlier people thrive for satisfaction, they want to have a content life, simple life. But nowadays if you see people, 99% people, they want to become rich with how much? More and more and more. So it depends upon society, depends upon the society standards. Before Elizabethan period they have not witnessed the wealth, they have not enjoyed the luxuries. Once they have enjoyed the luxuries, they have come to understanding that is the standards of living. So in the same way, to end this discussion, values are always dynamic in nature. Don't tell your students that whatever value you believe is the best. If your students are not following, don't criticize them, because we are outdated in front of our students. Though you may be thinking that you are smarter than students, but students are smarter than you. Don't impose your values on students and don't become bad teachers. A good teacher is the one who understood that the students are smarter than the teacher. Try to understand this one. Coming back to this, in satiric comedy, the famous personality here is Ben Jonson. He had written Walpole, a Fox and the Alchemist. And in this satiric comedy, the protagonists are rogues and misers. They are greedy people. All these chief characters in this kind of satiric comedy are bad people, bad in the sense greedy people, and they have victims also. Because of their greediness, what happened, people want to get some kind. For example, if you take Walpole's story, what happened, the protagonist, every day whenever he rises, he used to witness his gold, money, watch, all those things. So when he pretends that he is going to die on the deathbed, when he said that he is going to die and all his wealth is going to be distributed to those people who bring good gifts to him, or good people who look after him. Then the victims, they are also greedy, they are also stupid, they are also confusing, gullible. So they came with lot of precious gifts and offered to Walfoni, thinking that after his death or before he die, he will write a will and he will give all his money. But what happened actually? He didn't die and he collected all his gifts and he enjoyed the gifts. So this kind of comedy is called satiric comedy, and it attacks the disorders of society by making ridiculous the violators of its standards. Like, you know, the teachers who come on spot, punctual, sincere, they may not get increments, but those who are what should I use the word, right word, or bootlickers, that is the word we use generally in teaching or in corporate world. You know about this word, bootlickers?
Yes, sir.
So those are the one who will rise to the next levels, or they can easily climb the ladder and they can go to the next level. So these are the victims, but victims are also same kind of people. So here the point is, in satiric comedy, the protagonists are also these kind of cunning fellows and victims are also these kind of cunning fellows. So people, when they watch this kind of tragedy, there will be no sympathy to these characters. We feel like, no, let them suffer, let them have these kind of problems, because it is because of their greedy and it is because of their stupidity, and those are grotesquely ludicrous. That means too much fun. We will enjoy when they are committing this kind of mistakes, and these also ends in a happy ending. And when we watch, there will be no sympathy to the characters in this comedy, and this is called satiric comedy. That means in the society, whatever there are morals and manners, and if people, when they don't follow that, and those who violate, and people make comedy about those kind of characters, and that comes under satiric comedy. This is the second type of comedy under comedy. Any questions? Any questions from your side?
No, sir.
Right. Next, third one is comedy of manners. According to George Meredith, he considered this type of comedy is the highest form of comedy. You can note down this information. George Meredith, in his book The Idea of Comedy, which is published in 1877, he regarded the comedy of manners is the highest form of comedy out of all the varieties of comedy in English literature. So comedy of manners is considered as the highest form of comedy by George Meredith in his book The Idea of Comedy. So what actually this comedy of manners variety type deals is, it deals with the relations and intrigues of gentlemen and ladies, and it is in a polished society. They are all well educated, sophisticated lifestyles, might be having lot of wealth, and they are living in a polished society, refined society, refined people, high class people. So humor comes from witty dialogues or witty remarks, and it is called repartee. So there will be no low level comedy. There is no vulgarity in their dialogues, there is no obscenity in their dialogues. It comes naturally in the witty dialogues. So that means when they were sharing the dialogues, the characters, when they are sharing the dialogues, the comedy comes. There will be no vulgarity, there will be no any kind of obscenity in this kind of comedy, and this is considered as the highest form of comedy. A witty conversational give and take consists of a verbal fencing match. It is compared like a verbal fencing match. It will be so interesting, and it is a kind of a comedy. It appeals to the higher classes. Ridiculous violations of social conventions and decorum by stupid characters. Say for example, a normal person was invited to a high class society's party, and he doesn't know how to eat with fork and knife. So he doesn't know how to cut the dish, so he will use a knife to cut, and but that potato or whatever, the boiled potato, it will be when he tries to cut with knife, it will go into fall in others plate. So that kind of a comedy generates, but mostly this is meant for high level people, and it is highest form of comedy. And then this is also a kind of repartee, I said, a verbal fencing match between would be wits, jealous husbands foppish dandies. That means like if there are two characters in this story, both are sophisticated, both are highly educated, both are intellectuals. So when they exchange their dialogues, out of those dialogues the humor generates, but only those people who can understand these dialogues and who can relate those dialogues, they only can understand this kind of comedy. Most of us experience this kind of things. Whenever you go and watch a movie in a theater, whenever a scene comes, some people will laugh, but you will look at them very seriously. What is the fun and why they are laughing? Do you have such kind of experience whenever you watch with many people? No. Sometimes happens, correct? Sometimes happen. You will be looking at the screens and staring, and suddenly somebody will burst into laughter. You look at them seriously. What these idiots are doing? No fun, nothing. But but they could understand that. They could understand that is their level of comedy, so they could understand and they could react. But you may not be able to understand. Now, this kind of comedy, there are few people who are masters in this. One writer is Oscar Wilde, and the name of that drama is The Importance of Being Earnest. So this is an example for comedy of manners. Oscar Wilde, The Importance of Being Earnest, and there are a few writers who are associated with the comedy of manners. A.W. Pinero, George Bernard Shaw, Somerset Maugham, and Noel Coward. These are the people who had made this comedy of manners, and it is the highest form of comedy. And then this comedy of manners degraded into the next one, we'll come to that. But here let us complete one more small topic, because I am using the words high comedy, low comedy from the beginning of this class. So let us understand what is this kinds of comedy. High comedy is intellectual comedy. It creates intellectual laughter. If Isaac Newton or if Einstein and if Sir C.V. Raman, if they both meet, what kind of humor comes? Can you expect low comedy? It's not possible. But they'll also create humor in their conversations. So that is kind of intellectual laughter. And the audience who watch this kind of plays or who watch this kind of comedy, they're emotionally detached from their action, because they know that whatever their play roles are portrayed by the characters, whatever they are doing action, but they will not be connected to that, but they will be connected to the intellectual aspects of the play. And this is meant for educated people. High comedy is meant for educated people, and high comedy is filled with witty dialogues that can be also sometimes called love duels between Bendrick and Bentrace and the Congreve in the Way of the World. These are the examples for the high level comedy. And now come to low comedy or low level comedy. It has double entendredness. Actually spelling is wrong. Double entendredness. That means these dialogues have two meanings, and they use caricatures. That means they create fun by not showing the real characters in the comedy, and it has two meanings, as it told. At surface it has one meaning, and at internal or in deeper level it has some sexual connotations or sexual meanings in their dialogue. So low comedy is meant for low level people, and high comedy is meant for high level people. Nowadays when you watch any movie, let us take Bollywood movie, what kind of comedy do you generally found in those kind of movies, Diksha?
Low comedy.
Very, very low comedy, cheap comedy. Okay. Even if you are watch YouTube, you must be knowing about, there are very famous YouTubers in India. One is Bhuvan Bam. Heard about that name?
Yes, Bhuvan Bam, Carrie Minati.
Carrie
They
Minati.
wrote other people.
Ashish Chanchalani.
Yes,
And if you watch their videos, they are so vulgar in nature.
Low comedy they perform.
Low comedy, cheap comedy. But do you know they have 23 to 28 million followers or million subscribers? So low comedy has more advantages than high comedy. To understand high comedy, we should have intellectual ability, we should have that kind of a sense and sensibilities, and we should understand only that high level comedy if it is shown in a perfect picture. But low comedy, simple double meaning dialogues are there. If you see those comedies, Carrie Minati's comedy shows, or Ashish Chanchalani's, even if you watch Kapil's Nights also, what is that show? Comedy nights with
Sharma show.
Kapil Sharma. So he does all those kind of what you call low comedy, but people get attracted to the low comedy. The reason why the low comedy becomes so popular in the later stages of Elizabethan period is the audience wanted such kind of a comedy because they want to have this kind of entertainment. That is the reason why the playwrights also shifted from the highest forms of comedy into the lowest forms of comedy. So this is the difference between high comedy and low comedy. The main features of low comedy is they use caricatures, no real characters will be there, artificial characters are there, and they have double meaning dialogue, that is called double entendres. There is some other way I have used that sentence, and it has one meaning at surface and deeper it has sexual meaning. So these are the two kinds of comedies found in English literature. Any questions?
So if I'm not wrong, the comedy of manners are categorized into two, namely high comedy and low comedy.
No Kabir. Comedy of manners is different. I am trying to explain the difference between high comedy and low comedy here, because hereafter what happens, slowly the high comedy disappears from the drama and the low comedy enters into the dramas, because people of those days, they like to watch this kind of double meaning dialogues, low comma, morally not so strong characters in their place. So that is the reason why hereafter what happened, the drama degrades, comedy degrades. So that is the reason why I explained the difference between high comedy and low comedy.
Okay, sir. High comedy and low comedy in general.
Comedy of manners, Shakespearean comedy, satiric comedy, they used high comedy, intellectual comedy. It pleases the high society people, educated people, intellectual people. But what happened when during Elizabethan age, let us go to the historical background, why the comedy degraded from the highest form into the lowest form is, when people become wealthy, when industrialization took place under Queen Elizabeth, when the people become wealthy, so they don't have any other sort of entertainment. So even the poor classes also, when the poor people or poor sections of people also, when they rise to the middle class, when they come to the middle class society, they want to look at their entertainment, and one of the chief forms of entertainment is drama. But when these poor people came, when these middle class people also started watching this drama, they want their type of comedy. And Shakespeare not deviated from the standards of comedy, but people after Shakespeare, they want to please these groundlings, they want to please these poor people or these newly middle class people and their taste. So they started writing the dramas keeping these audience in their mind. So generally playwrights become successful only when they know the pulse of this audience and when they reach the audience. So that is the reason why hereafter what happens, the comedy standards decreases. So that is the reason why I explained high comedy and low comedy.
Got it.
Right. Any questions?
No, sir.
Right. Now let us go with the restoration comedy. It is also close to comedy of manners. It is also has the same kind of witty dialogues, all those things, and relations people, and then it would be with jealous husbands, conversation between characters, but it has double entendedness, that means double meaning dialogue, vulgarity is there, sexual meanings are included in this restoration comedy to please the audience, and they have used stock characters. These stock characters are like fashionable women, pet dogs, actually spelling mistake, pet dogs, and these characters utters dialogues which filled with a lot of sexual meaning, and those are obscene in actions. Even they have shown the obscene actions in the restoration comedy. Other than these features, other than double-entedness and stock characters introduction, this comedy is also almost all close to the comedy of manners. Comedy of manners was considered as the highest form of comedy by George Meredith, but when these writers degraded this comedy from comedy of manners into another form of comedy that has been named as restoration comedy, during restoration period, this comedy has become popular, and this comedy is filled with lot of double meaning dialogues and stock characters, and then it has lot of obscene actions or obscene scenes in the comedy play. An example for this comedy is Congress, The Way of the World, and Visually is The Country Wife. So restoration comedy has a slight deviation from the comedy of manners. Any questions?
No, sir.
Any questions? Dipti, Sharmila, Neelam, Danny?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Now let us go.
Sir.
Kabir, tell me.
Sir, could you please, what is the demarcation line, sir, between if you want to differentiate between comedy of manners and or expression comedy? What is the one thing, one point I should remember as a learner to differentiate between the two?
Alright, fine, no problem. Historically also, comedy of manners belongs to one generation and restoration comedy belongs to the period of restoration. Okay, after Elizabethan drama, after Jacobean, after Carolean, after Puritan, this form of comedy came. Actually, I suppose you have missed one or two classes, that's why you are having the confusion. The entire setup, the entire idea for drama comes from the miracle plays, morality plays, and what are the three plays? Miracle, moral, and what are the three plays? Can anybody? Right, miracle plays, then mystery plays, then morality plays. After that, that drama has taken into shape. So when these things started during Middle English period, then came to the period of Renaissance, and then during Elizabethan period, the drama reached the highest stage, even though the Elizabethan period is known as the age of poetry. Then what happened after Queen Elizabeth, when Jacobeans came, when Charles I or James I, who came after Elizabeth?
James I.
James I in 1603 he came, and he was in up to 1600 and tell me, what is the period of James after Elizabeth?
1602 or 1625?
1625. Okay, 1625. Then in the same way, Caroline age came, Puritans age came. So what happened, as the history changed, as the historical figures changed, as the kings are changed, they also influenced the literature, and the people also become wealthy in the Elizabethan period, and they want to have different sort of entertainment. So what happened here, the comedy of manners historically also different, but in literary point of view, comedy of manners is a sophisticated comedy filled with repartee, witty dialogues, but there is no double meanings in their dialogues in comedy of manners. Restoration comedy is also very close and similar to comedy of manners, but in the repartee or in the exchange of dialogues, they use double meaning dialogues in the restoration comedy, and the scenes are vulgar, obscene in nature. That is a major difference between comedy of manners and restoration comedy.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay, fine. Right. Next one is most interesting one, sentiments, sentimental comedy. So we all Indians like to watch sentimental movies, correct? We'll make it blockbuster movies, or whatever movie is become very huge success, all those movies are sentimental movies. Bahubali is also sentimental movie or not? Is it action movie? Have you all watched Bahubali Part 1, Bahubali Part 2?
Yes, sir.
So is it a sentimental movie or a action movie, Danny?
Action movie, sir.
Is it action movie? Think about it once again.
Sentimental and action movie both. It has both qualities.
It's mixed.
Who is Rajamata?
Shivgamini.
Shivgamini. Okay, right. And who is the one who was locked with chains in the, what do you call that, Ballala Deva's city?
Anushka.
Devasena. Right. Now the entire story revolves around whom? The Devasena, correct? The senior Bahubali or junior Bahubali, they all try to help whom to release? Mother sentiment or not, Danny?
Yes, sir. In that way, it might be sentimental.
See how Raja...
Revenge of Devsena.
Revenge of Devasena. Is it sentimental or action?
Sir, sentimental.
Indians like sentiments. Directors knew exactly the pulse of Indians, so they do sentiment movies, and they will add some kind of a masala like garam masala, like so many spices there will be. So, but the most important ingredient is masala. For sentiment is a main masala, then you can add cloves, you can add garlic, you can add ginger, all those will come into the main masala. But the center is sentiment. People love to watch sentiments, people die to watch sentiments in India. So for me, Bahubali is a sentimental movie. If you watch Devasena, that poor woman, no, how many years she was kept in under captivation? How many years?
25 years.
See, and son comes and goes, and he tries to take her mother, and what happened in there was a duel fight, and then the background story comes. All this is sentiment. There is some action of course, but basically sentiments attracts more people. There were so many movies meant for women, no, women go to movies and they cry in the movies, but repeatedly they'll go to those kind of movies. Do you know such kind of movies? They'll cry. Even sometimes the theater owners, they supply kerchiefs, handkerchiefs also to women to watch the movie. What, Danny?
Gulab Gang.
Kahani. This is the
So people like sentiment. So here let us come back. Sentimental comedy, and it is a result of restoration comedy. So restoration comedy resulted this kind of a sentimental comedy, and writers revived wit and gaiety. That means they have removed that kind of sexual, what do you call, interpretation or sexual dialogues which were involved in double meaning dialogues. They have deleted the indecency out of restoration comedy. Restoration comedy is actually obscene comedy, vulgar comedy is there, but people of those days, they like such kind of a comedy. There is no wrong with the writers because they want to please the audience only, so they have created such kind of a comedy. But sentimental comedy has deleted that kind of indecency of restoration comedy. And the examples for this kind of a sentimental, it's a very minor topic, that's why I'm quickly rushing. Sentimental comedy examples is Oliver's Goldsmith, She Stoops to Conquer, and Richards, The Rivals and a School for Scandal. These are the examples for sentimental comedy. After comedy of manners came restoration comedy. Restoration comedy leads to sentimental comedy. And what is the sentimental comedy? They have deleted that kind of obscenity, vulgarity in the dialogues. And Oliver Goldsmith, She Stoops to Conquer is an example for sentimental comedy. And Richards, Revivals and a School for Scandal is also an example for sentimental comedy. This is a small part. Sentimental comedy is not a major part. Any questions?
No, sir.
Right. Now one more major comedy is comedy of humors. You all have studied this comedy of humors at your graduation or post graduation. Anybody study?
No, sir.
What about Sharmila, Deepti? Not studied this comedy of humors?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the one who introduced this. Ben Johnson is the one who followed the classical norms or followed the classical way of writing drama, and he wanted to revive, he wanted to bring back the glory to the traditional way of writing drama and traditional features of drama by keeping all the features of a traditional drama. And he said in comedy of humors, Ben Johnson's based on the physiological theory of the 4 humors. So he believes that there are 4 humors, expounds his theory in Induction to Every Man is Humor. Whether you understand comedy of humors or not, that is secondary, but at least you should understand in which book he had expounded his theory of comedy of humors is in Induction to Every Man in His Humor. This book you have to remember, because in this book he discussed comedy of humors. Induction to Every Man in His Humor, which is published in 1598. He discussed comedy of humors. Who is the one? Ben Jonson discussed comedy of humors in Induction to Every Man in His Humor in 1598. Now let us try to understand the comedy of humors in a simplistic way. See, our body 75% is filled with water or liquid. Even the planet Earth also has 70 to 75% of water, and then only 25 to 30% land. In the same way, Ben Jonson, in his physiological theory of 4 humors, he believes that there are 4 chief things are there. Those are blood, phlegm, choler, yellow bile, and black bile, melancholy. That means blood is part of our body, phlegm is also in our body, choler, yellow bile, bile juice, and melancholy, black bile. So these are actually found in each and every human being, and he has named this mixture as temperament. This mixture as temperament. Everybody has this kind of mixture, decides the physical state and character type. For example, if anybody is very tall, like 6 feet tall, they have lot of blood. When a person has lot of blood, physically the person is strong. When a person is like 4 feet 2 inches or 5 feet, the person doesn't carry as much blood as a 6 foot person carry. So the person who is the short one doesn't have that much blood in his body, so it affects his physiological state and character also. That is one. So temperament, the name you have to remember, this is called temperament, or mixture of all these 4. Okay, blood, phlegm, choler, which is yellow bile, and melancholy is black bile. So these are part of our everybody's character, physical and character type. So this temperament or mixture decides the physical state and character type. For example, to make you to understand in simplistic way, in this class there are how many women? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 women are there. Though you are all belongs to one single gender, but you don't think alike. You have different ideas, you have different opinions, but you all belong to same gender. So where is the difference? According to Ben Jonson, not according to me. According to Ben Jonson, it is a mixture of these 4. If somebody has more blood, they will have some kind of characteristic. If somebody has more yellow bile, they will have some kind of a characteristic. So according to Ben Jonson, the mixture of these 4 fluids decides the physical state and the character type. And an imbalance produces 4 kind of disposition. That means if there is an imbalance in this kind of fluids, I have written here, but I was not able to draw that which I had written, because it is easy to draw, but it is easy to draw on book, but it is difficult to draw on Jamboard. See, if these 4 fluids are in proper balance, then the person will remain happy. And if one fluid is less, for example blood is less, then what will happen? The person may become anger, he gets more angry. And if, for example, if yellow bile is less, then the person may fall into despair or depression. That means it is the mix or combination of these 4. For Ben Jonson, these are the 4 fluids which makes a person's physical state and the character type. And when he applies this imbalance, produces 4 kinds of disposition, he had given 4 names: sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, and melancholic. For example, if any character behaves in a melancholic way, the reason is there is a combination of something more in this, there is no proper balance. So according to Ben Jonson, try to understand, according to Ben Jonson, everybody has 4 fluids in their body: blood, phlegm, choler, and melancholy, yellow bile and black bile. The combination or the mixture of these fluids decides the character type, and imbalance creates a kind of humor in the play. Though it is little technically difficult to explain and to understand, but you try to understand only one thing, like those people who have lot of blood, they will be strong. Those people who have less blood, they will be little weak. Hemoglobin percentage also you can take into consideration. So according to Ben Jonson, comedy of humors means it is about the mixture or temperament decides the comedy of the characters, and audience who watch these characters, they will understand why they become eccentric. Sometimes they go eccentric, they become mad. So Ben Jonson came with a theory that why this character behaved in this fashion, because of the imbalance of this particular fluid is more in their character. That's why the character behaved in such way. To justify that, he had come up this kind of theory called physiological theory of 4 humors. At least do you understand 10% what I explained?
sir.
more than that, sir, I think.
But still I am not satisfied, because I also try to understand in the easiest way, but still for me also it is confusing, because Ben Jonson followed this technique of intermixture or mixture of these four fluids. So try to understand, at least in examination point of view, they may not ask you what is comedy of humours, but in which book he discussed the induction of comedy of humours is Every Man in His Humour. And Shakespeare acted in this play, I suppose. If I could remember properly, Shakespeare acted in this book, in Induction to Every Man in His Humour. There is one more book written by Ben Jonson, I will explain later on. So any questions up to here?
No, sir.
We will not take a break. 7:33. Within half an hour I will complete the class. Shall we continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That means, sir, one thing I want to discuss.
This.
That means if any person has any one of these character or this mixture, it will determine their character.
According to Ben Jonson, if all these four fluids are in equal proportions, I have written here, I will try to draw this, but it will take time. That's why I am trying to, I'll try to draw and I'll try to show you. For example, these are the four fluids, correct? Blood, phlegm, choler and melancholy. So I'll draw here. For example, this is the blood, okay, and then this is phlegm, okay, and then this is yellow bile. So there is more secretion of yellow bile. And black bile, for example, if you go with black, this is very less secretion in his body. Now which is more dominant here out of these four? Yellow bile, correct?
Yes, I know.
If the third one I have said is yellow bile. That means if a person has more one fluid, then he will become eccentric. That means the character, whatever does, creates comedy in the show or comedy in the play. But to justify why the character is behaving in that way, Ben Jonson came with this theory, physiological theory of four humours. That means comedy basically generates out of these four fluids, and the imbalance of these four fluids generates sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric and melancholic. If somebody is melancholic in nature, what is general meaning of melancholic, Diksha? Can you tell me?
Sad, sir.
That means that it is more release. Tell me.
Yes, sir. In my book, the meaning of these four mixture is written, sir.
Tell me.
Blood means cheerful. Flame or phlegmatic means calm. Choleric means ill-tempered, and melancholy means sad.
Okay, can you repeat once again? I will type. Blood means?
Yes, sir. Blood means cheerful.
Okay, here I have written happiness. Okay, happiness or cheerful. Okay, spelling can you check? Cheerful, C-H-E?
Sir, C-H-E-E-R. E-R.
Cheerful. Okay, right, fine. And then next, phlegm, anger.
Phlegm, sir, calm.
Calm. Okay, right. Here I have written anger. Right. Next, yellow bile.
Sir, that choler, yes, sir. Ill-tempered.
Okay, and then for black bile.
Melancholy is sad.
Okay. For example, I have written something like happiness, anger and despair. I'll check later on. Let us go with whatever you have written there, Diksha. For example, in somebody's character, if the black bile, okay, if this is more secreted, if the gland secretes more black bile, then the person will be sad, and that character in the play behaves very sad, and people try to understand why the character turned into sad. The reason is because of the imbalance of these four kinds of fluids. That was actually Ben Jonson tries to explain. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Okay.
So that means in the play, each and every
blood
character
means
has different characters.
One by one. Deepti ma'am, louder.
I think in every play, we have lot of characters in the play. Maybe the protagonist or somebody have this humor, and the person who is watching having the same humor of the protagonist will, for him, the drama will be more interesting, I think.
Okay. Somebody else was also telling?
Sir, this was me, sir.
Diksha.
Actually, here it was not written blood, but it was written one fluid that is named as humor. And humor means a sanguine, cheerful. It means confident. Blood represents somebody's cheerfulness and confidence also, sir.
Right, fine, correct. So, to put it finally, that means the intermixture or the mixture of these four fluids decides the character type, and Ben Jonson came with this theory to explain why the characters in the play become or behave in that fashion. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
Right. So shall we continue? Kabir?
Yes, sir.
And what is the example for this comedy of humors?
Every Man in His Humor by Ben Jonson. And again by Ben Jonson, Every Man Out of His Humor.
Every Man Out of His Humor. Both written by?
And so by George Chapman, Eastward H.O.
Correct, Eastward H.O. Right. Right. Now let us go with one more literary device which is also connected with comedy. How do you pronounce this? FARCE? Farce. So comic dramatic work using buffoonery and horseplay and typically includes crude characterization and ludicrously improbable situations. So everything is like simple comedy but creates a lot of belly laughs. Provokes simple hearty laughter, and high comedy is for sophisticated class, low comedy is for groundlings. Farce is a caricature, it is unreal in nature, that one which we watched in beginning of this class, that is Mr. Bean. A component in comic episodes in medieval miracle plays. Now go back to miracle plays. What is a miracle play? Who is here?
So
Kabir?
the type of play which deals with the lines of or with the life of saint.
Miracle
And
plays.
their magic.
Right, correct. Miracle plays deals with the lives of saints. So during those plays, these were actually used, comic components or comic episodes in the miracle plays, lives of saints. Okay, but this has taken into a proper form during Elizabethan stage or after. So farce is a comic dramatic work using buffoonery, lot of fun. Like simple example is Mr. Bean. And low comedy is meant for groundlings. If you can see the Shakespearean theatre or Shakespearean stage, you must have seen. I am not able to draw that way, but in my book it is written. People, lower class people are the people who are very sit in the pit. Those who those who know what is Shakespearean theatre, Elizabethan theatre, there is difference. That means the theatre is built in a circular shape, and there are galleries meant for people who can afford. Then those people who cannot afford, only can afford admission fees, they were given place to sit or stand in the pit, which is very close to in front of the stage. Those are the lower level people, are groundlings, they used to sit and enjoy. And on stage, these nobles, dukes, kings, whoever comes, they will sit along with the actors and they watch the actors play. So this farce is actually meant for low comedy or low level comedy, and it is meant for groundlings, and high comedy is meant for sophisticated class. Simple question is in examination, which comedy produces belly laughings? That is farce. Okay, and in farce the caricatures are used, not real characters are used. Just to produce comedy they use this kind of caricatures. Example in the modern theaters or movies, Charlie Chaplin's and Mr. Bean. So this is about farce. Any questions?
What is buffoonery?
What is the word buffoon?
Oh no, sir.
Buffoon, what do you call, no? Buffoons we call in movies those people who make comedy with their silly actions, and when they utter nonsensical speeches, no, they create a lot of fun, buffoons we call. Let me show you. Those people who wear colorful clothes, costumes which creates fun, amusement. Buffoon we call. Let me, if possible, I'll show you the image.
Clown, sir.
Maybe a kind of clone, but buffoon is a regular word. Comedians only, they call comedians. Buffoons we call. Is it strange word, Preeti?
I have heard it first time.
Okay, buffoons. In comedy shows, we call them as buffoons. No, those who create comedy, those who produce comedy by their nonsensical actions, by their jumping, dancing, all those things. They create this kind of scenes. No, buffoonery. Okay. Shall we go to the next topic? Okay. Now, I asked Diksha, no, whenever they use dance, songs, and all those things in dramas, what kind of drama it is called?
Mask.
Melodrama. Melody plus drama. Can you hear, Diksha?
Yes, sir.
So it's a portmanteau word. What is portmanteau word?
No idea.
It's a combination of two words. Portmanteau word means it's a combination of two words. So in Greek, word melo means song. So they brought these songs into drama. Melody plus drama is equal to melodrama. That means if they have songs, dance, and music primarily actually, if there is lot of music, then we can call it as a drama. All the modern days, modern movies, all melodrama. There are 6 songs. Some movies have 9 songs and 10 fights, and there ends the movie. So melodrama means melody plus drama. Melo in Greek, it is actually song. And it has begun in Italy and then later it came to England. So the origin of melodrama is in Italy. Okay. And then what happened in 1937, there was a licensing act. What is this licensing act? Once we discussed what is licensing act. They have given license. What is this licensing act? Can anybody tell me?
Just like film certificates are given to by the government to the director, like this.
Licensing, I am also copying this information so that you can understand it. From Wikipedia I am copying. The Licensing Act of 1737 is a defunct act of parliament in the Kingdom of Great Britain and pivotal movement in the theoretical history. Its purpose was to control and censor what was being said about the British government through theatre. Okay, shall I copy it so that it will be in notes available? Let me just wait a minute. So what is this Licensing Act? Can you see now on screen? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
So according to this Licensing Act, it's a kind of a censor, what Preeti said. I suppose Preeti only, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the Licensing Act of 1737 is a defunct act of parliament in the Kingdom of Great Britain and a pivotal movement in the theoretical history. Its purpose was to control and censor what was being said about the British government through theatre. That means what happened in the later stages, the comedy, the drama corrupted. Earlier in the Elizabethan dramas or Elizabethan plays, they used to show at least some information which is of high standard. But later on what happened, when the drama degraded, they started showing the information which is unrealistic and morally degraded. So what happened, this parliament has passed a kind of a bill or act having some kind of censor over the plays and dramas on famous theatres. But these two famous theatres, Drury Lane, I suppose spelling may be wrong, Drury Lane and Covent Garden, they have not used this one and they added music to enact their plays. Other than these two theatres, other theatres have used this melody, that means music, to enact their plays. And what is the major purpose or main purpose of including the music means it enhances the audience emotion. So melodrama is actually meant for tragedy. It is most primary object is to create a tragedy, and farce is for comedy. Try to understand what I am trying to do now here is I am trying to intermix the history of that particular period and then what happened. As I told you in the beginning, the comedy was high level, people used to watch, and even government was also not having any kind of control, or not any control means they were also allowing, they were also promoting the drama and the plays. But in the later stages what happened, the drama degraded, they started to show the unrealistic things, morally degraded stories. So even parliament also wanted to control, like we have a censor board, we give U certificate, US certificate, A certificate. In the same way some movies are banned. There are some movies in Hollywood, they are banned. Some movies are banned in America, some movies are banned in Britain. Can anybody quickly tell me any work of art by Thomas Hardy which was banned? Quickly. Or any other writer's book which was banned? All are googling.
No, sir.
Any book which was banned because due to its obscenity or vulgarity? Or any revolutionary book which was banned? No idea?
No, sir.
There are so many books which were banned. May not be dramas, but novels they were banned because of the promoting the revolutionary.
Sir, D.H. Lawrence, some book. I don't remember the name of the book, but by D.H. Lawrence, I think it was banned. I don't remember the name of the book.
So many.
Also, Bhanna Shah's book also, J.B. Shaw's book.
Lady
Chatterley's Lover something.
Right, because
J.B. Chatterley's Lover.
Because of obscenity. Okay. So here come back to this melodrama. The melodrama means this music added or songs added into the drama, that is called melodrama, and it is main intention is to enhance the emotion of the audience. Now the difference between comedy, high comedy, low comedy and all those things we have explained. Then right, correct. So melodrama is actually tragedy and farce is for comedy. So they added the music to enact their plays other than these two theatres. Other than these two theatres, Drury Lane and Covent Garden, all other theatres they use music to attract audience to watch their plays. So this is about melodrama, and it had begun in Italy, then it came to England. Okay, this is about melodrama.
Sheridan was the owner of Drury Lane.
Which one?
This Sheridan, R.B. Sheridan. He wrote the sentimental comedy. He was the owner of Drury Lane Theatre.
Okay, sentimental comedy. Dipti, is it sentimental comedy?
Yeah, yes, sir. Sentimental comedy. He wrote one School for Scandal and The Rival, two drama comedies.
Right, fine. Shall we go to the next literary device? Can anybody tell me why we are discussing all these literary devices without text here?
So that when we will, once we start studying the text, it will help us to recognize.
If we know the features of that particular genre, then it is easy for you to understand. Like we understood Hamlet, Macbeth and Julius Caesar according to the points. 7 or 8 points have given for Shakespearean tragedy. In the same way for Shakespearean comedy also we have given some kind of points. So you have to keep that scale and you have to read the play. Then only it is easy for you to interpret the play, and in examination point of view what are the areas which are important. And these literary terms are important because in future classes whichever text we take up, these literary terms are important when we are discussing the text as well as the historical background of the age also. We have completed only up to the Renaissance, only the Puritan Intergram only we have completed. We have not started the Restoration. The moment we start the Restoration, all this will become part of the text. So now let us, next one is, what is this? MASQE? How do you pronounce? Mask.
Mask.
There is no much explanation. It's a kind of a play. And why it is called mask? Because the characters who portray the action, who show, play the drama, they are wear masks. And this mask is meant for royalty. And who are the actors? They are the kings and his friends and their relatives. They are the actors in this one. And this mask is enacted in courts only. This is not for the general public. This is only for the aristocratic people, and these are enacted in the court only. And these are courtly and amateur, not by professional. The actors are not professional. Mostly they are from enacted by amateur actors, family members of kings and queens. And in this they have used decorated stages. In Elizabethan stage, if you compare, it is not decorated. Undecorated stages are shown, are displayed in Shakespearean plays, whereas in mask those stages are highly decorated, and there is involvement of dance and songs, and it is called a sport of kings and queens. Mask is known as a sport of kings and queens, and example for this mask is Milton's Comus. It is a mask. And in Shakespeare plays it is always undecorated stage, but whereas in mask it is always decorated. Mask is known as a sport of kings and queens. It is enacted in court only, and it is performed for kings and queens, and most of the actors are not professional, amateur actors. And who are these actors? These characters are played by the family members of kings and queen, and this is a kind of a play, and this is about mask. Here something I have drawn.
Mask and combust. Ferdinand for Miranda and for
There is one mask, correct.
Yeah.
So all people will sit on the stage, and these characters, they will enact the play on the stage only. And it is decorated stage. So there is lot of dance, songs and action. And those are amateur people who perform this play. It's a mask. The reason is characters wear mask, that is why it is called mask, and it is meant for royalty. It's not for general public. This is another form of, how do you call, drama, mask. 750. Shall I quickly go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now I have a warning to everybody. Theatre of absurd, if I start, you should not become something different, because when I read theatre of absurd, plays, dramas, novels of theatre of absurd, it impacted a lot. So just listen to this explanation, understand it only in examination point of view. Don't attach to this kind of literature, absurd literature. It may impact very badly. Okay, so just try to understand only in point of view of examination. You are here to clear exams. You are here to get into a government job. Don't get attached or involved in this absurd theatre, absurd drama. Otherwise, it is difficult to come back into the normal way of thought. So, it's a warning. I'll also quickly explain. If you have any questions, you can ask me. This is a modern drama, latest drama, absurd. See, before First World War and Second World War, the philosophers, the saints, political leaders, in general human, believed that the fellow human is innately good, by default good. But when the world witnessed First World War, they have seen the damage, the killing, the whatever the word adjective you want to use, you can use, the death in the world. And during 1914 to 1919 First World War, before they could recover from the devastation, before they could recover from the damage caused by the First World War, they have witnessed Second World War. Now the people who are born in between, the people who witnessed First World War and Second World War, the philosophers, the psychologists, the writers, they were shell shocked. They couldn't believe that how could a human is the reason and the cause for this kind of damage to the world. Millions of people were killed, tortured brutally, massacred, raped, I don't want to get into those things, but you know what I mean to say. So when the writers, dramatists, psychologists, psychiatrists, politicians, and when common man witnessed this kind of human nature, they have completely cell-shocked, and they tried to understand the human in a different way. So when they realized that human is innately dangerous, human is the most dangerous animal on the planet Earth, the thought reflected in the literature, in the sculpture, in the painting. So we all believe that human is good. The situations make them to turn bad. Very normal sentence, very common sentence we use. Criminals are not by birth, they are made in the society. But absurd literature, absurd drama, theatre of absurd, or the absurd literature gives information. The psychologists, the psychiatrists who studied human nature in these times, First World War, Second World War, they understood that if they believe that religion is the reason for the conflict, if they believe that the difference, the conflicts between the human beings for land or water is the reason, that is proved wrong. It is the innate nature. By default, human is evil. Human want a reason to fight and kill. Human kills others just for fun. So when they realized all these new things about a human character, that reflected in their art, in their literature, in their sculpture, in their painting, and that leads to the theatre of absurd. So people believe that people believed that God created this world. God had created this world in a proper structure, proper storm. There is some order in this world. But when they witnessed this First World War and Second World War, they understood that there is no order in this world. There is complete chaos. Human is the reason for this kind of a devastation. Human is the reason for this kind of damage to the humans and planet Earth. And this reflected in different theories. And that leads to theatre of absurd. I warn you again, whatever I am speaking, don't take it to your heart. It is just for examination point of view, you have to remember. And the theatre of absurd came from surrealism and expansionism. So what is surrealism? It is thinking new. So when they witnessed this kind of incidents, they started thinking in a new way which was not known to the previous generation. Once they witnessed the human evil, then they have started understanding this kind of nature, and that reflected in the theatre of absurd. So the main one is Andrew Breton, co-founder, leader and principal theorist of surrealism. Surrealism was a cultural movement that developed in Europe in the aftermath of World War I, in which artists depicted unnerving, illogical scenes and developed techniques to allow the unconscious mind to express itself. Its aim was, according to the leader, to resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream and reality into an absolute reality, a super reality or surreality. That means they want to show the exact picture of the world in their work of arts. Either it may be literature, either it may be sculpture or painting, whatever they do, they want to show the reality of the world coming out of the imagination. Shakespeare has the greatest imagination. Shakespeare created the drama with imagination. No other person has such kind of the greatest features, the greatest imagination. But here these people want to portray the world as it is in their literature, because they have seen the real nature of human during this war, and that leads to the theatre of absurd. Then there is one more theory called expressionism. Expressionism is a modernist movement initially in poetry and painting, originating in northern Europe around the beginning of 20th century. Its typical trait is to present the world solely from a subjective perspective, distorting it radically for emotional effect in order to evoke. Even you may think so many things. I don't want to shake your foundations here. That is not my purpose to tell you. 99% of Indians or 90% of Indians, we believe that God has predestined, God has written something, God has decided for us to become teachers or not to become teachers, to marry somebody or to get divorced or to enter into relationship, or we are born in this family because God has decided, we have born to these parents because God has decided. All these are old thinking. All these are old thinking. Once you understand the new way of thinking, and if you are really enter into the reality, super reality, you will understand that there is no meaning for all these things, and there is nobody who could decide your fate and future. It is your thinking which made you to believe that there is somebody who has decided, so that we are born into this family, we are born into these parents, we are born in this place, we are having these many problems. So try to understand this not in a psychological aspect, try to understand this in a examination point of view. So these two are surrealism and expressionism leads to theater of absurd. So these writers, they thought that, they believed that there is no order in this world, so why should there is order in the work of art? So it represented or it reflected in their literature, in sculpture and art. And it is also, expressionism is see through one of his characters, how exactly the character feels, irrespective of your personal opinions, irrespective of your personal ideas, whatever the character feels, those things are portrayed in the theater of absurd, especially under expressionism. And there are so many other forms of writings also came into practice, that is called automatic writing, subconscious mind in drowsiness. People, they used to drink, they used to booze, they used to smoke, and once they enter into that kind of a subconscious state, then they will practice this automatic writing. That means without any kind of human inhibitions or human limitations, they practice this kind of automatic writing. And hallucination, which are not their things. So I don't want to explain too much, I don't want to confuse you, I don't want to deviate you from your examination point of view. So most of us, we believe that orderly world, so everything should be in order. That means like beginning, middle and ending. That is what actually orderly means in this literary text. So in literary text, what happens, for Milton, started his Paradise Lost with an invocation to muse, that is a good beginning, then there is a good climax, and the denouncement end also proper. Comedy, tragedy, whichever work you take, it has a proper beginning, it has a middle, it has proper ending. If you take a movie also, there will be a big bang entrance of Rajinikanth in South Indian movies with a big song fight and all those things, and then at intervention there will be a big problem. After intervention, that means interval, what will happen at the end of the movie, there is a happy ending. So that is the natural order of a movie, natural order of any play. But when these people, when this theater of absurd practitioners, when they stopped believing in that age old thinking, and when they started thinking in a new fashion, or see through one of the characters, when they deviated from that line of thought, I'm trying to draw, I'm using my hand to show you, when they deviated from the line of thought, that means there is one line which is going in a straight way. God created world, everything is in order, everything will end in a correct poetic justice. If you are good people, good will happen to us. If you work hard, everything will go in a proper way. If you are sincere, everything will go in a right way. If you have not done any harm to anybody, nothing will harm in your life. This is a straight line. This is the straight line of thinking. But when these people deviated from that line, instead of going in this line of thought, when they started moving, deviated from that line of thought in a slight way, that is called surrealism and expressionism. They started thinking new. And when they thought in this new fashion, when Nietzsche said, German philosopher, God is dead, then there is no order in this world. And when there is no order in this world, why should there be an order in the literature? Why should there must be an order in the sculpture? Why should there must be an order in the painting? So these kind of thoughts, surrealism, expressionism, leads to theater of absurd. So in absurd theater, the disorderly world leads to disorderly works. Now example is Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. So what is in Waiting for Godot? Is a play by Samuel Beckett in which two characters, trumps, Vladimir and Estrogen, engage in a variety of discussions and encounters while awaiting the tutor Godot, who never arrives. Those who have read this play, at least if you have information about this play Waiting for Godot, these two characters, they wait in two acts, they wait They speak so many dialogues. They're waiting for a person, Godo, but the Godo never comes. There is no Godo in the character, but these two characters assume that they are waiting for Godo and they want to meet Godo and Godo may come, but there is no Godo. There is nobody is going to come in that play. So this kind of theater of absurd creates absurd literature, but very difficult to understand the theater of absurd and absurd literature. The reason is, if you don't have this kind of new thought, that as I told you, if you are also thinking in a straight line which was developed by our forefathers, developed by our grandparents, the society has developed this line of thought. God created world, everything is in order, in between some problems come, but the end will be always happy. In this way, if you think, and if you can't come to a deviation here, then you may not understand absurd theatre. That is why it is nonsensical literature. You don't find any meaning in the literature, because these playwrights, these dramatists, these writers believe there is no meaning for life. Whatever we assume meaning, it is because of our own projection, it is own subjective, but there is no meaning in this life. So why should there is a meaning in their literature? So they write this kind of literature without any meaning, and this is called absurd literature or theatre of absurd. And this famous personality who is related with this theatre of absurd is Samuel Beckett, and he has translated books from French to English, and the Francis Bacon has translated books from English to French. So this is about theatre of absurd. I again tell you, don't take what I said to your heart. Just remember the facts of theatre of absurd. It is the combination of surrealism and expressionism leads to theatre of absurd. Surrealism means thinking new. Expressionism means see through one of his characters. You don't have any kind of personal feelings. The writer doesn't have any kind of personal feelings when they are narrating, when they are portraying the character in the play. Many questions?
No, sir.
Right. So as I told you, don't study theatre of absurd at this stage. It is not good for psychological health, and it is not good for your examination point of view.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because that is their idea, there is their opinion. Those people who follow absurd literature, theatre of absurd, they believe that the world has no order, so why should we have order in the literature, and why should we have order in our life? So that is a chaotic life that is difficult to lead. Okay, so don't go into that kind of literature. So novel is there. Tomorrow, next class, I'll introduce novel. Kabir, any questions? 5 to 8:50. I'll try if I can make a question paper at least with 10 questions or 15 questions. I'll share the question paper. Otherwise, morning I'll wake up. Deepti?
What time you wake up?
I wake up at 4:45 in the morning. Okay, so within half an hour I'll set the question paper, I'll release. So I'll share only one question paper and today's notes in the WhatsApp, and I will not even ask him, even give even an intimation also. I'll post the question paper on Sunday. Let me see how many are sincere, how many will complete by 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock, I'll close the question paper. Okay, shall we call it a day? Bye. Bye. Take care. Good day. Good day. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Good night.